Okay, so we are in still section 5.1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to find the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation of this probability distribution. Okay, so this is how we find the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation with the square root of the variance of a probability distribution. These are in the PowerPoint. There's also a way to do this by hand. I'm sorry, there's also a way to do this by calculator. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have your probability distribution, which I just rewrote over here. I put everything in decimal form to make it a little bit easier. To find the mean, what you have to do is you have to take the x's times the p of x's and then add them up. So I made up a column of x times p of x right here. So I took x times p of x is 0, x times p of x is 0.5, this x times this p of x gives me 0.5, and then this means I want to add them up. So if I add them up, I get 1. So that's actually my mean. My mean is just 1, boy, since that's what my random variable is. Okay, to find the variance, there's actually 2 formulas in the PowerPoint. I chose the easier one. So for this one, I'm gonna find x squared times p of x, and I made that column right here. And I'll come back to that formula. So I take my x, I square it, times p of x. So this squared times this gives me 0. This squared times this gives me 0.5. 2 squared times 0.25 gives me 1. And now I'm going to add those up. Okay, now that I'm not done yet. Okay, that just gives me this part right here. This part right here is 1.5. And then I'll subtract the mean squared. My mean is 1. So minus my 1 squared. 1.5 minus 1 gives me 0.5. So that's my variance. Again, my mean is 1. I found that right here. My variance is 0.5. And then my standard deviation is the square root of the variance, which if you plug that in your calculator, it's 0.707. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to find the mean and the standard deviation on the calculator, and then to find the variance, you're going to square it. Okay, so what I did was I put the x's in my list 1, my p of x is in the list 2. So if you need to pause and do that, go ahead and put those 2 things in, and then come back. Okay, so once you put those in, you're going to go to your one variable stats, just like you did before for frequencies tables. So you can go to stat, calc, enter. You go put L1 for list 1, and then L2 for the frequency list. So it's just like the frequency tables, but you look at something a little bit different on your calculator next. Okay, x bar and mu are the same thing. So on your calculator, the mean is found the same way. That's going to be 1. For the variance, this is a population variance because you're talking about all the outcomes up here, not a sample. So we look under sigma. So if you look at the standard deviation, that's on our calculator right here, 0.707. The variance does not show up, but what we want to do is square the value without rounding it. So square that whole 0.707, 106, and then we'll get 0.5. So how do we score this? You can either punch this whole thing in and then square it, or you can go under VARs, statistics, sigma of x, and then square it. And that's your variance.